Hey, YouTube, how is it going? I hope all is well. Today, we're going to kind of pull double duty with this particular video. I'm going to talk about something and give you kind of my impression of something, more or less about the guitar gear review market and kind of the market in general. And then this is also kind of just a test to see how quick I can produce this content. So let's talk a little bit about that. I've mentioned in other videos that my biggest problem with creating content in general is I hate doing crap half-assed. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. I don't like doing things half effort. It's full send. So I get a little bit bummed when the quality is low. So I'm trying to do videos that are of higher quality. Well, as you might imagine, that takes a bit of work to do. And one of the biggest hangups that I have is that the way I used to do it was I would record with my phone. I would have to take that video and any kind of OBS, other stuff that I did, back into the house and then edit it in a software, third-party software, like DaVinci or something like that. And then, reformat it down to something usable to put into YouTube, etc., etc. And it was just a job. I'm hoping today to put out not one, but 2 videos in the span of a few hours. I could not do that before because it would take an hour just to process the video. I'm trying to get to a point where I can do this and do it in real time. I do not do a whole lot of editing in my stuff. If you haven't already noticed, they're pretty much, one end to the other. And I like to keep it that way, and I like doing it because I think it's the most real way to do it. Now, some of the guitar build videos or amp build videos that I have are obviously a little different. I'll do, time-lapse type stuff. I'll continue to do stuff like that. Obviously, it just takes more work to do that kind of stuff. But I'm going to try to put more content out there. And my idea is to just try to limit the amount of effort it takes to get that to you so I can do it quicker. I work full-time. I have a job. So this is something that's more or less a hobby. And it's an expensive hobby. So let's get back to the conversation. Oh, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think of the quality of the content. Like, not the content. I mean, I'm a goofy. I yap too much anyway. But the quality of the production, I guess. I want to get your... I know you're sick and tired of seeing my hands. You're not going to see my face. Just get around that already. But just the quality of the content. I want to make sure that the production at least is somewhat, acceptable. Maybe you care, maybe you don't. I do. It's something for me for sure. So today we're talking about the gear review market and how it's starting to crumble a little bit. It's starting to feel some of the weight from either the market itself or due to actions of those within it. Slightly technical. Really cool cat. If you have not seen any of his videos, definitely go check him out. He's got some pretty good insight on stuff. My understanding is that he is a software developer / engineer or something like that, working for a company that you've heard of. And I believe his job is to help do captures and other software-based, type emulation or whatever you want to call it. Modeling, if you will. But in either case, he's pretty new. I don't think he started too long ago. He's got a Black Sabbath based kind of intro. I like that. I'm all about Black Sabbath. And he does some modifications of amplifiers and stuff like that. I don't know how deep he goes into some of the stuff, but I think he's got a pretty good mix of what's going on. You can see here he's got to mod or not to mod, etc., etc. Handsome fellow too, so he's got that going for him as well. I believe he's Swedish or something like that. He's definitely from like the Scandinavian kind of area or something like that. But in either case, he was talking about guitar gear YouTube. It's dying and what his feelings as to why were. I'm just going to summarize what my thoughts are right off the bat. I did post a comment in there and it seems to be pretty well resonated. Not just mine, but as a group, it seems to be that is the idea. Is that I'm going to slow down a little bit so I can say it proper. Actually, let me take a little sip of my Red Bull. With any luck, you won't get burped on today. So my feeling of the market is that you've got too many people that are reviewing too many things too often. And because they are reviewed so often, we just get option overload. There's just so many options out there now that we just don't know where to go. And the options that are pushed down our throats are just too expensive. And or the thing that they're trying to sell you is not updated significantly enough to merit A, your loss in time of checking it out, and B, trying to get that extra $50-$60 out of it. Secondary to that is the influencers themselves. Now, I don't have anything against, Pete Thorne, Sean Tubbs, Rhett Scholl, Ola, any of them, RJ Ronquillo, In the Blues, whatever. I don't have anything against them. Like, I love their content. I love what they do. And I think it's cool that they can be getting first dibs on all these things to show us this stuff. Where I think the problem arises is that they get the first dibs. They all release this content on the same day. And most of the stuff that they are reviewing is not cheap. And if it is a rendition of something that was already out there, we've spent a bunch of time, but they always give it a good review. There's not too many channels that you will see giving out bad reviews. And if they are, they're certainly not going to be Pete Thorne, Sean Tubbs, etc., etc., etc. It's just, well, that kind of goes into where we're going to get here in a moment. But let's go on with what Ola's got going on here. So it kind of, I think, started with him a little bit actually admitting that his viewership is starting to fall, which also I'm guessing means that his affiliate links, are probably starting to fall as well. When somebody like Ola, who's got creeping up on 1 million subscribers, is starting to show signs of cracking under, the lack of, what do you want to call it, interaction with his fan base, something's going on. And it's not just him. It's not that he did anything wrong, but how many times can you try to sell something to somebody before you just turn into a salesman? And I think we're starting to realize that a lot of these influencers aren't just musicians anymore. They're salesmen. Now, that's not what I feel everybody feels, but that's kind of how I feel. I kind of feel that we are pulling the veil away and we're not sheep anymore when it comes to this stuff because we've been duped in one way or another by somebody giving this great review and not being exactly transparent about it. Now, there are rules on YouTube about, transparency in ad placement, etc., or paid promotion, right? There are very few people that are doing reviews that are bad. It doesn't behoove them to. If you give bad reviews all the time, nobody's going to give you the product to review. Even if you buy it yourself, well, why would you try to spend all your money on a product to give it a bad review? Because then how are you going to get rid of that product? You know what I mean? Like, the whole cycle just self-incriminates its, existence. That's kind of how I feel. It's like, it's cyclical in such a way that it will eat itself. It's the snake eating its tail. This is another gentleman. I'm not going to play you any of the clips, by the way, but this is another gentleman that's kind of giving some insight as well. But yeah, I mean, you can just kind of see some of the sentiment is that we gave up on it a while ago. It's, another strat that's the same strat that was there before. Nothing is new. Everything is just kind of regurgitated. And then we got things like this. YouTube has placed too many ads, etc., etc. There's that kind of stuff going on, and it's just causing a problem. This is kind of going back to what I was saying. This gentleman here is talking about Guitar Gear reviews are a scam. And it's just true. Like, when they have something that benefits them to sell via their affiliate link, or, it's something that they spent their own money on, and, it doesn't help to devalue it at all, then why would you do that? There's no motivation to give bad reviews because you just keep your mouth shut. And it's true. I think in this market, it's just best to keep your mouth shut if you want to be popular. Period. I kind of feel like I'm one of those outliers. I will tell you how I feel, and there's a few others out there that will tell you how they feel. I'm not saying I'm right, though. I could very much be wrong, but I think I got a good touch on the market. I've been in it for a long time, and knowing that I am going to get the same kind of feedback as, some of these other people do. If I give my product away for somebody to review, I don't want them to tell people it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. If they say it's got this shitty distortion, or it doesn't do cleans the way they think it should, or it has this little quirk or that little quirk, I want them to tell you, because it doesn't do me any good for them to sell you a piece of shit. Because if I'm making a pile of crap, I think you should know it. So I'm not trying, I don't want to be a hypocrite. That's more or less what I'm saying is, if I don't feel the product is worth it, then I won't invest in that product. And I think I portray that pretty well. So that's why I'm also very slow at getting some of these things out. Like, it is not perfect until it is perfect for me. I have one amp in my lineup that I can say two amps in my lineup I can say without shadow of a doubt that they are absolutely 100 ready for you to get your hands on them. I think they are ready for you. Some of the other ones, I'm like 99% there with it. Like, I could still go in there and change something if I really, really wanted to. But all the things that I've done to make that amp be where it's at to that point in time I've already gone full circle with it, that sort of deal. So I have a tough time with it. That's why you don't see a lot of stuff from me, because to me, it's never done. It can always be better. It can always be better. And that's the hard part with somebody like me who's just a perfectionist in that regard. It's really, really difficult. So to put myself out there the way I have been lately is definitely me jumping off a cliff. So in either case, the other things that are going on that are kind of just bizarre is, just the pricing of things in general. They're getting ridiculously expensive. Marshall comes out with a modified version of their own amp, and it's more expensive than the modified versions of their amp. Not too bad. I mean, the BE100 has been Friedman's kind of like flagship for the longest time. It's $3,900. I believe the JCM 800 they had listed for like 38 or 37 or something like that. They took the pricing down, by the way. They used to have it shown up here. I don't see it anymore, but let's see if maybe we can find it. Maybe I just missed it. I don't know. 1959 modified. Maybe that was the one. Yeah, no, they took the pricing down. They used to have it right there. I think it was probably smart that they did, because I'm pretty sure people were getting sticker shock. Because I know that this amp, in my other video, it was at $3,700. It was $3,699. And it's kind of a hard pill to swallow, knowing that you can essentially get the same amp that has all the same kind of features built into it for $2,700. So almost $1,000 cheaper. Almost $1,000 cheaper. Now, it's not the large box heads. I think this is considered the small box, even though these are, where's the small ones? Like, these are the actual small box heads, but like the 20-watt ones. But in either case, you get where I'm going at with that. It's crazy to think that Marshall is selling a version of themselves more expensive than other people that have already been doing it for the longest time. Now, I'm going to say that BAD has a large part to do with it. I don't like bad. And we've gone over this in some of my other videos, but bad is a business model, period. It's a business model. The business model is crank out as much as you can for as cheap as you can. It is the cheapification of the product. How can we make this easier, cheaper, and faster to build, right? So that's what they're doing with Friedman. We've seen some of their layouts now. They look clean, don't get me wrong. They look very pretty, and I would take a Friedman over a Marshall any day of the week, but they have PCB traces on them now. Lord knows what kind of, I can almost guarantee you they're not using leaded solder. It's going to be lead-free solder. And as we didn't really talk about it. We probably need to do a whole video on why leaded solder gonna solder. But why there's a difference and what the good and the bad about it is. It's not that unleaded solder. Fuck if I could just say the damn word. I'm getting stuck on the L. Solder is, it's not that leaded solder is bad. It's just, it has its downsides, if you will. I prefer leaded solder for the reasons I've mentioned before. It's just a higher quality connection. It's a little more robust. It's more time stable, etc., etc. And it doesn't have to meet, ecological things. In any case, I need to move on apparently because I'm thinking faster than I can say the words. So, yeah, I mean the market's just in turmoil right now. It's just too much going on, too fast. There's always something new, and we are just getting blasted by all these new products that we can't afford, and everybody's trying to upsell everything on them. Another thing I think is really kind of beating the market up a little bit lately is what I call fixed format pricing. And what I mean by that is, well, you can kind of just see it here already on just this first row. You've got 3 pedals in this first row that have kind of similar attributes to them, all $229.99 or $229. You go down to the second row, $229, $229, $229, $229. This one, for whatever reason, $299. Go down another row, $229, $229. Right? Like, it's just on and on and on. Everything that has like 4 knobs on it is going to be $229. You cannot convince me that this little 7-band or whatever the heck it is, it looks like a 6-band actually, EQ is worth $229. I don't know what it does. I think it has like a little overdrive kind of built into it, but I'm sure it does the thing. But everything is fixed format pricing. Vertec does it. Strymon does it. I own Strymon as well. I own a couple J-Rocket pedals. They're great pedals, don't get me wrong, but it's a hard pill to swallow when you're like, I just want an overdrive pedal that does a light overdrive. And just because it happens to have 4 knobs on it, I don't want to have to spend $229 for a pedal that I value at being $150, right? We don't get to choose that value. I don't think we get to choose that value. I think it's pushed on us that way because so many are doing it that way. If you buy a Strymon pedal, it's going to be 3 prices, $279, $349, or $400 plus, like more or less. And there's a couple outliers in there, but for the most part, anything in there, small format line, like the blue sky or whatever the heck it is going to be $379. Anything that's smaller, like their Cloudburst or whatever the heck that is, the Brigadier or whatever, the Brigade. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but you know what I mean? Like those ones are going to be the $279 mark, etc., etc. It just goes on and on like that. So that, I think, this fixed format thing is killing people as well. Like we're just tired and fed up with the idea that just because it has 4 knobs, it has to cost at least $200. We're not dumb anymore. So let's talk a little bit about what you're looking here in front of me. This is just kind of relating some of what I was talking to my own experiences. I've only just recently started buying pedals. I didn't... excuse me. It is an official A-Tech video now. You have been burped upon. My apologies. That was rude. Let me know if you think that's funny. I think it's funny. It's rude, don't get me wrong, but I apologize. I don't mean to offend, but I don't know. It's turned into a thing lately, or it just seems like I always burp. Do keep in mind, this is shot in real time. No cuts, no breaks, So, Anyway, so I've only recently started getting into pedals and this, that, and the other, and like I don't have an unlimited budget to go out and buy this stuff, and some of these are not cheap. And case in point for why a marginal, update really doesn't often equate to the extra added dollar amount that they, apply to that said product. So this is the Unobtainium Raw here. A great pedal in and of itself. I think it only has one major feature that's different from the normal one, and that is the germanium diode option that they have. The original one has some option that's just kind of par for the course, I guess, but this one has some special one that's in there, the OC45. I don't know. I liked it because I thought it sounded a little bit nicer than the white one, but this thing was like, I don't know, it was at least $50 more expensive if I'm not mistaken. But look at the switch positions and you can kind of see, guess what I'm not using. So marginal update, extra cost, no need for it, right? I'm learning now, I'm not a Klon guy. This is a clone here, if you will. And I haven't come across a pedal yet where the Klon has just done it for me. And I've got like 4 or 5 of them. I honestly want to say that the kit one that I bought 10 years ago now, I bought a kit of a Klon, and it was like $60 for the kit or something like that. I built it. It works. I kind of like it. Of all the Klons that I have, it's just the most usable, even though it doesn't sound anything like a Klon, I imagine. This one, it does a thing, but it doesn't do the thing I want it to do. It's got too much of a mid-honk to it, which kind of drives me up the wall. As far as this side here, I found that the ODS side of things had just too much of a mid-range hump to it. I didn't like it. The SSS, hands down, one of the better overdrives that I've used. It just doesn't have a whole lot of gain. So you pretty much have to gain it all the way up, and then you almost have to drive it with another pedal in order to get it to go to that spot that you want it to go to. That's my finding. The effects loop within the effects itself is kind of a cool feature, but I run this guy in there. Now this is a cool pedal right here. A couple of reasons. One is it was signed by Mr. Greg Cooch himself, or Koch. I wish I knew how to say his last name. I'm a fan of his, but I'm not like a Taylor Swift fan, all right? I'm not a T Swift fan in that regard. So in either case, I was able to pick this up at a price I felt was good. Really cool pedal, but if you're going to get this pedal, get the original one, the one actually made by this gentleman here. Let's see if I can get that to line up proper like. There you go. You can kind of get what I'm getting at there. Anyway, get the original ones that look like they're made out of army green or something like that, and they have like the decals on them. They're not really clear what the volume knobs even do, that kind of stuff. My friend has one of those. Sounds badass. This one sounds really cool, don't get me wrong, but it's not quite as nice as the originals. This one is kind of the whole cheapification. I think there's some sort of a leasing agreement or licensing deal that's going on. These are basically made in a factory, whereas the other ones are handmade. Go figure. Now, talk about feeling like you got burned a little bit. This guy right here, the Fuchs valve job, I saw a couple like reviews on it, and of course they made it sound amazing, right? Like, and it's not that it's a horrible sounding pedal, but this thing right here, the Pure Gain, total waste, total freaking waste. There was no need to put it on a switch. I think they just wanted to make it look like there was more there than there was. It just has no value. So there's a knob in here that you can use to adjust the amount of gain that the Pure Gain has. Well, I turned it all the way down because in stock form it was just way too much. Like when you turn this on, it was like punching the front end of your amp with like 20 dB of just straight up gain. Way too much. Did not need it, did not want it. So I turned it down. Well, when you turn it down, that's fine. It just turns into a buffer pedal at that point, because that's essentially what the circuit was designed to be. But the knob that you can use to adjust it, because I was trying to find like a little bit somewhere in between that 20 dB boost and the no dB boost. Well, the knob it was not designed right. At least as best I can tell, because it's like an on-off switch. You turn it, doesn't do anything, and then all of a sudden, blah, too much gain. It's all the gain that thing had when it was in stock form. And you turn it down a little bit, and it shuts it basically all the way off. And you're just like, really? So there's not much adjustability in the Pure Gain side, but you kind of need the Pure Gain boost to get the distortion side of it to actually do what you want it to do. It does not produce a whole heck of a lot of gain, which is kind of a bummer. I later kind of understood and found out that more or less the amp itself had most of the distortion already built in, and when he'd punch this on, it was just giving it that little bit more. Like it was basically using the distortion in here as a boost pedal or a drive pedal or an overdrive, right? And it says overdrive, and that's what it is. It's literally just an overdrive. But you can't really find the level of gain that you want. You need more. Always you need more. And it just, I don't know. Yeah, it makes it kind of do the Dumble thing, but I was just disappointed. It wasn't exactly a cheap pedal. Most of the reason I picked it up was that it was a limited edition thing. It's actually signed by Andy himself, right? Well, we would assume it's signed by Andy himself. Cool pedal in that regard. But then I'm thinking, okay, they're not going to have anything else like this, right? Nope. Now they've got another version, not the Valve Job 3, but another one of their other pedals that was similar in design. I can't remember, whatever the other drive pedal that they have. They're doing the same thing. And it's just like, oh, okay, well, I got duped. I was hoping it was just going to be this one pedal that was going to be released as a limited edition, and that would be the end of it, right? No, they're just going through their lineup and turning them all into these, these type of things where he puts his name on it, puts a number on it. Mine just happens to be number 77. Whatever, right? Option overload. I love this pedal, by the way. I love Brian Wampler. It's a shame I feel that he's part of bad, but I think he's done good in either case. I don't think he's going to do anything any different either way. He makes great pedals, and this one does a really cool thing. But, about a year or two ago, everybody started coming out with an 1176 design pedal, like something for guitars. I'm a sound guy, so I know what an 1176 is. I know what its purpose and history was. And when I started seeing them being used for guitars, I was like, okay, cool. And then you see the price tag on some of them that are out there. Holy hell. Yeah, they really love these things. So this one wasn't overtly priced. I mean, it was definitely one of his more expensive pedals. It's got a lot of knobs on there, fixed format pricing that we talk about. But this one is actually really cool. It does have a sound, so it does kind of roll off a little bit of the lows. So it does thin your guitar up just a little bit. Not bad, just a little bit. But this thing is extremely tunable. If you're interested in a compressor pedal that does actual compression and works really well with a guitar, this is it. The blend knob, as I think, is really what makes this thing do what it needs to do. Without it, I don't think this thing would work very well. But you can actually hear and feel the attack and release. You can actually feel the compression kind of come in. You can get it to pump. You can get it to swell. You can get it to do all those little things. The tone knob and the blend knob definitely make it valuable, though, because it does darken up the sound a little bit too. But with the tone knob, you can brighten it back up and get it where you need it to be. So it's really good at making a ballsy amp kind of tame down a little bit. Really cool pedal. I like this one. I prefer this one over my Keeley Compressor Plus or whatever that I got. That Compressor Plus, I've had a tough time just getting it to kind of do what I'd like it to do. So in either case, I think I've kind of gone over everything. That's my short little review on these guys. Just kind of trying to relate some of my experiences to what's going on out there. Added price for a marginal feature that you end up not liking, trying to sell you something as this super rare, nothing else is going to be like it, limited edition thing, only to find out that they're just turning their whole lineup into that. This guy here, there's like 3 or 4 versions from different makers that come out all at the same time based on the same thing. How do you pick which one that you're going to go with, right? You just have to pick a loyalty almost, or roll the dice. I don't know, pick one. So option overload there. And then this one here, it's just, there's nothing wrong with this one. This one's just a cool pedal. But again, you have the original handmade ones, which are like $300 or $400 a pop or whatever it might be. And then you got this one here, which sells for like 160 or 180 or whatever. So, cheapification of the whole market in general. That kind of thing, because the original ones that are actually handmade by Homeboy are definitely a step up above this one. All right. So, in either case, I want to thank you. Give me some feedback. Please let me know if I'm doing anything that's remotely close to what you're interested in. I do want to know if you feel that the quality of the video is still acceptable, considering how I'm trying to produce this content now. Again, uncut. This is all done live in real time. So all the switching and the whole 9 is done in one cut. So I'm doing that as a way to try to bang content out a little bit more efficiently. Because to make this video otherwise it would take me, if this is a 30-minute video, how long is it? Right at 30 minutes now. This would take me 2 hours just to even make it so it was possible to get to you. And I just can't do that anymore. So let me know. But anyway, thank you so much. I hope to see you again in the next one. And I'm probably going to release a second video today. 2 in one day. Imagine that. So thank you. We'll see you again soon. Bye.